If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Patrick Bateman. Today he will be our representation of the everyday doomer.
There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman, some kind of abstraction, but there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory. And though I can hide my cold gaze, and you can shake my hand and feel flesh gripping yours, and maybe you can even sense our lifestyles are probably comparable, I simply am not there.
Bateman is the main character and narrator of Ellis's 1991 novel, American Psycho. Patrick Bateman is famously portrayed by Christian Bale in the 2000 film adaptation. Bateman epitomizes the wealthy douchebag lifestyle. He thrives as a Wall Street investment banker specializing in mergers and acquisitions. However, beneath his polished exterior, Bateman supposedly has a secret life as a serial killer. While watching American Psycho, you'll notice that Bateman's point of view isn't the most reliable. He has a skewed view of reality, constant hallucinations, and a clearly undiagnosed personality disorder. But assuming that everything we see is true, it's clear that Bateman is clearly a psychopathic serial killer. He was born into a wealthy family on October 23, 1961. He grew up with privilege and attended the elite institution of Harvard University. He now resides in a luxurious apartment on Manhattan's Upper West Side. Bateman's professional success is overshadowed by his disturbing inclinations. He allegedly murders a wide range of victims, including his colleagues, homeless people, and S-workers. His violent acts have no limits, ranging from torture, necrophilia, and even cannibalism. But it doesn't stop there. He's a quintessential symbol of 1980s greed. Even in the modern world, Bateman would be considered highly privileged. He's tall, wealthy, and good with the ladies. Despite his affluent lifestyle and high social status, he is riddled with anxiety and low self-esteem. This causes him to often feel inadequate in the face of those who he internally views as better than him. His relationships are exceedingly shallow and stained by a superficial engagement with people who are more like props in his carefully crafted life. Throughout the movie, Bateman's sanity is questionable, and it remains unclear whether his brutal actions are real or merely figments of his imagination. It's clear to me that the author wanted to keep the story ambiguous. Despite Bateman's repeated confessions to friends, colleagues, and even strangers, no one around Bateman seems to take him seriously. His life is a chilling representation of a man trapped in a meaningless existence, where even his most horrific acts fail to bring him the recognition that he desires. Patrick Bateman is the perfect depiction of the everyday doomer because he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He wears the mask of the lifestyle he's created. He doesn't believe that society would accept him the way he is, so he LARPs as a normal person. He has extremist beliefs that he keeps to himself, and this eats him up inside. He lives a life that most young men dream of, but he isn't truly thankful for this. Why would he be? He's carrying on a legacy that isn't even his own, and he doesn't feel as though he can even be himself. And technically, he's correct. Some people are edgy because they think it's funny, but Bateman's edginess stems from a strong feeling of inadequacy. And when I look at the cult-like following the American Psycho has gained, as well as the Patrick Bateman edits that I'm sure you've seen, it makes me ask the question, is this how doomers, edgelords, sigma males, incels, essentially anyone who is almost entirely black-pilled feel about the world around them? If you're black-pilled, let me know your opinion on the world. But when I look at the comment section on my recent videos, there seems to be a common theme of hopelessness, pessimism, and even intelligence. I say intelligence because a lot of the men commenting seem very knowledgeable and are good at articulating their negative feelings. Prior to engaging with the black pill, I honestly didn't have a single positive thing to say about the community due to how loud and off-putting the extremists of this community appeared to be. But as I took a deeper dive, I saw that there really is a silent majority of guys who feel rejected by society and are essentially just looking for a community of other guys to relate to. Think back to your school days. You remember how there were different types of friend groups? You had your jocks, you had your nerds, you had your band kids, etc. Even the people who were considered weird, shy, or antisocial still had community. And this is very anecdotal, but from my point of view, current life appears to be a lot less interactive. If you want food or groceries, you can have them delivered to you. If you need a source of income, you can work from home. If you want to get to know someone, You can message them directly online. Gone are the days where people who were not conventionally attractive, athletic, or wealthy didn't feel like societal rejects. I believe that someone who is blackpilled in the modern day, especially if they're an everyday doomer, truly feels this way. It's really no wonder that a character like Patrick Bateman would be so popular within the black pill community. If he could be himself and still be accepted by society, he would, but he knows he can't. So he lives a double life in order to release the rage-inducing inner conflict that he walks around with on the daily. It's essential to acknowledge the fact that Patrick Bateman is a literally me character, which means that his story is a cautionary tale. Christian Bale was actually quite astonished to discover that so many young men desired to imitate Bateman and didn't even realize that he's actually a how-to manual of what not to do with your life.
But Bateman is not I could never really view him just as a villain, pure and simple, because he's so ridiculous. You know, he's not your ordinary kind of Hannibal Lecter kind of scary villain, because you laugh at him, you know, never with him at all. So I was never really concerned and didn't take any of those career suicide threats seriously. In fact, exactly, it sort of was exciting in many ways.
What do you like about Patrick Bateman?
What do I like?
Yeah.
I like nothing about him. I mean, he's a completely unredeeming character, you know, and I wouldn't attempt to make him sympathetic at all. But what makes him entertaining is the fact that
he has no redeeming value.
But at the same time, he finds himself in so many ridiculous situations and reacts in such a ridiculous manner. You know, he's certainly somebody that I wouldn't want to, you know, be at a table with and eating, but I'd certainly want to eavesdrop on his conversation.
Fellas, we have to understand that these people are literally acting. They're really good at their job, so I get that it's convincing, which is the point, but it's common for people to play characters that are nothing like them in real life. I don't want to ruin your love for entertainment, but just understand that it's all pretend. It's okay to relate to the good, the bad, and the ugly of these fictional characters, but a lot of the time, these characters were made for you to point and laugh at, or even feel bad for and think to yourself, I bet it sucks to be that guy.
And there still was the Wall Street trading floors and everything. I went and visited, you know, all different levels of people at Wall Street, but the guys on the trading floor, when I arrived there before making the film, I got there and a bunch of them, they were going, oh, Patrick Bateman, and patting me on the back and going, oh yeah, we love him. And I was like, yeah, ironically, right? And they were like, what do you mean? So it was always worrying, even back then. But, you know, clearly, look, it's a satire on capitalism in the 80s, and as such is so bloody far-fetched and ridiculous that, you know, to me, I can't help but think it's hilarious.
In the end, everything will be okay, and if it's not okay, then it's not the end. Anyone is susceptible to becoming the everyday doomer, because all of us have gone through a period in our life where we felt hopeless. The key is to not ruminate on these negative feelings, because they don't serve you anything but despair. Everyone has had a negative or intrusive thought that might have made them feel as though they are a bad person. But understand that your thoughts do not define who you are. Your actions do. One way to deal with strong feelings of self-loathing or pessimism is to practice gratitude journaling. You may think you hate the world, but if you sit down and analyze the world around you, you'll realize just how blessed and highly favored you are. If you're not currently religious, then how about you do some research on different religions and choose a faith to follow? Having faith is really the only guaranteed way to combat feelings of hopelessness. Personally, Christianity gives me something to believe in. It provides me with a greater purpose that transcends all my problems and grants me with something to live for. At times, I may look at myself in the mirror and think, what am I doing with my life? But I realize that feeling is just a feeling, and feelings are like the weather. They come and they go, but sometimes they stick around for long periods of time. Another thing that could help is meditation. I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but removing power from your thoughts gives your thoughts less power over you. Never forget that you are not your thoughts. You're simply the one who perceives them. Of course, Patrick Bateman isn't all bad. A couple chapters we could take out of his book is to elevate in every aspect of life. You can elevate physically by staying active. You can improve your appearance by practicing good hygiene. And you can elevate financially by learning high-income skills. Do your best with the cards you were dealt. Don't waste any more time complaining that the dealer doesn't know how to shuffle. That sentence wasn't about playing Uno, so don't let that go over your head. I'll see you in the next video.